bother me. That doesn't worry me at all. I don't worry if you will encounter each other. I am only concerned if you are prepared when it's time to encounter each other. I'm only concerned about that. Take a look at where we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we were wringing our hands and fretting. 10 years ago, folk were asking dumb questions like, what can we do? Today, they're talking about what they have done. I would like to see a day where the interstate trucking business in this country is held sway over by a bunch of black men and women of determination, guts, grit, rugged individualism in service to their people. I would like to see a situation where that occurs. I want to see a situation where black people, black men get together in groups and they don't discuss a damn pair of shoes. That they are discussing the power, wealth, and influence that they've acquired and the assets that they've amassed in service to their people. I want to see a day where black women get together and they're no longer talking about the Asians putting boots up their asses for walking into an Asian hair care store. And let's be very, very clear. It's not a black hair care store. It is an Asian hair care store. I would like to see black women be able to go into a place and design it from the bottom up to their specifications. Something that's sorely missing today. I want you to be able to have your own salons, your own nail shops. I want them to be in service to you. Something that you've never seen before. You haven't seen it in your families. You haven't seen it in your communities. You haven't seen it anywhere. I would like to see that become the norm. I would like for your nail shop to be the most poppin' place out there. And you can do that. And you can do that. And of course, you also must remember your Second Amendment just in case the haters, both from outside the black society and from within black society, just in case Bushika and her bastard brats that she hasn't raised worth a damn, just in case they attempt to try something, hopefully you can get them all. In any case, I'm going to go ahead and open up the telephone lines now. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code, Black's radio program in existence, the only one that's kind of under today. We are taking your phone calls. If you would like to ask me questions about business ownership, capitalization, I get these questions all of the time. I've carved out now because of the tampering and meddling that they attempted to do here on YouTube last week. I've doubled down on you bastards. We didn't back down, we're doubling down. So I've gone ahead and opened up the telephone lines for you here, as promised from last night. The sooner you call, the more time we can give you, of course, obviously. Let me get caller from area code 216. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. My name is Julia.
Hello, Julia. Where you calling from?
I'm calling from the Jelly spot.
Okay, you're calling from where?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio. What's on your mind, Julia?
Hi, Jason. So this is my first time calling in, and I just wanted to really thank you for everything that you've been doing over the years. I'm a little bit nervous. I can get some passion on what is here. But I wanted to give you a couple of commentaries and ask you something on behalf of one of the young ones in my family too as well, if I can. So just kind of going into this, I think the first thing that I want to kind of talk about is, I listened to last night's program. I've been listening for about 2.5 years now here. And one of the things that I think that people really need to kind of really take ownership and we can improve on and kind of, carry on the work of you and, Claude Anderson and Neely Fuller and Dr. Francis Welty is, for the most part, taking ownership of our kids' education. So, I'm from the Cleveland area, grew up in the East Cleveland City school area. It's one of the worst school systems in the Cleveland area. And currently, we're in the suburbs in one of the better school systems. And one of the key things that I noticed between, the comparison between both school systems is that these people, aren't spending more money per kid within the better neighborhoods. It's more or less the time and the investment that the moms or the parents are putting into their kids' education that is helping them, basically skyrocket into these opportunities here. So that's just one thing I just wanted to comment on, and I think that
Okay, well, let me find out here. Did you actually have a question?
Yeah, so I have about education for the most part. So I have the nephew. He's very interested in aerospace, aerodynamics, and that's not my expertise. So I just wanted to call in and kind of understand some things that he can do for the most part while he's in high school to get him well prepared to get into that field.
Okay, that's very good. To begin with, I'm not really sure exactly what part of it you would be interested in, but there are basically two main areas where aeronautics are designed, and that's engineering and repair, basically. Anything beyond that, you're talking about a lot of venture capital at that point. So if he hasn't looked into aerospace engineering, that's a good place to begin. In the chat room, they are correct. If he wants a good place to begin with, the Air Force will actually train you to do it. Of course, the only thing I don't like is, of course, now you're part of the military, but the Air Force will actually train you not to do that. And from there, that's what a lot of aircraft companies rely on as former Air Force people. Because it basically saves you a lot of money to be spent on having to train people and whatnot. So that's something he may want to consider there. Beyond that, it would require private training. So let me ask you something here. You said this is your nephew, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Where are your nephew's parents?
Not that involved.
Not that involved. Why are they not that involved?
Based on everything that you talk about for the most part, parents that don't want to take accountability for their children. So just trying to carry on the torch here.
Okay, so it sounds like there might be some discipline issues from your nephew as well. Would that be totally inaccurate to say? Maybe there are some guidance and directional issues that might be at play.
That's correct.
Okay. In this case here, for something like that, I might, assuming he is focused on it, I might actually say he's a candidate for Air Force, to be totally honest with you. If he is unfocused, if the family doesn't have a history of that, or these are things you need to work on there, that might be something that you want to take a look into. I'm a firm believer that adversity kills people, and certainly accounts for a fair bit of that there. But if he really wants to learn about that in a place that basically is set up for the purposes of teaching, that would, if he is not able to independently pay for it himself, like kids have, I would consider that to be a good place to start. Especially if the home environment is not what it needs to be, this will be a place that will just be able to immediately pick him up and take him somewhere and get him started on
that. Okay.
If that's really what it wants to do. Once he's got experience in that, he can go from there. Back in my hometown of Shreveport, for example, the Shreveport Airport Authority, they just took a lieutenant colonel from the Air Force who was on the city council, lieutenant colonel for the Air Force, and now they're basically putting him over the Airport Authority. So without that experience, that simply wouldn't happen. But we can just go down the list of things. I would recommend that. That would be where I would want you to start. So if he's not with something like that, that's really where you begin. And I do understand that they do have other programs around the country. I'm just not certain about how well that they would be able to serve what she's looking for. I'm a firm believer in practical training. I'm a firm believer in hands-on. I'm not really a big believer in schools because schools can be tampered with. They can choose the best students and help them leave your kids behind or whatever, or they can give preferential treatment like that. So I'm a firm believer in getting to a place where straight to hands-on. I'm not a big believer in schools. I'm much more of a big believer in getting people behind the wheel, as it were, in this case, behind the cockpit. So I would, and that's the reason why I would actually be more, I would be more in favor of something like the Air Force instead, especially taking those other factors into account.
Okay, so you're saying drive more from the Air Force, because I think the other thing we've been comparing was going to actual college and going to like aerospace program. And you're
Yes,
saying that Air Force is
I don't have an issue with that. The thing is, I'm not 100% certain where his leaning is. I'm not 100% certain whether or not he's more interested in operating planes, as it were, hands on with the planes, or if he's more interested in design and engineering. And those are big questions that get into. You start talking about design and engineering, that's going to be about a good decade, to be totally honest. It's not something you pick up in just 3 or 4 years. It really isn't. There's a whole lot that goes in that, especially with the transformations happening to the industry right now. Take a look at what just happened with the Boeing 737. You know, take a look at what just happened there. So a lot going on, and I'm not very certain about exactly how that would be. If he's, I mean, how old is your nephew?
he is 13
Okay, your nephew is
in eighth grade.
13. Your nephew's 13 years old, so he hasn't even hit high school yet at this point right now. I'm not sure, like I said, in Cleveland, I don't think you all have a lot of aeronautics where that's concerned. I know in Washington State that's different than Boeing. And I'm not a big, I have never seen any young black people who have come out of a quote, you know, training program outside of the military that actually have anything they can point to. I haven't seen that. I don't think I've ever seen a single, I don't think I've ever met a single significant black engineer at Boeing or Lockheed Martin. I don't think I've ever in my life met a single one. So we have a lot of folks who talk about that kind of stuff, but that's not going to be helpful. Somebody said there's NASA in Cleveland. I'm not 100% certain about that, but what I will tell you is NASA. That's really I mean, the only way you're going to get a leg up with NASA is the Air Force. It's not like you can just start from nothing. So that would be the real thing I would tell you. That would be the first thing I would tell you there. He's going into high school. It might be worth it to see about taking a look into ROTC or something like that if he wants to go in that direction. If he's bent on designing these things, then that means he would want to have a pedigree in going to engineering instead. That would be the kind of thing you'd be looking at. So it really just depends on what he wants to do. But I'm a firm believer in
Yeah, we want to.
if he wants to operate them, let's get him something that puts him immediately hands on in an environment where he cannot be tampered with and where access to progress can't be racially gerrymandered. I'm a firm believer in that, especially for black males. If they look at him and see that he's serious, they're going to start trying to throw obstacles in his way. So I'm a big believer that the sooner you can get hands on, the sooner you can get beyond people's ability to tamper with. I'm a firm believer.
Okay. Interest-wise, he's very interested in becoming a commercial pilot.
Oh,
Very strong in both math and science right now. So, just want to kind of coach him in a direction to keep his options open with engineering. But I think most of the programs he's looking at, they do have commercial pilot license
I mean,
offered as well. But I know Air Force.
if he wants to be a commercial pilot, that's a no-brainer. Air Force, that's a no-brainer. I mean, if once he comes,
Okay.
because they've changed the after 9/11, they had changed the requirements they wanted to have for people to be able to operate airplanes. And then there was that German wing season. But I mean, that's a no-brainer if he wants to be a commercial pilot and whatnot. I mean, he can come right out of the Air Force after 3 or 4 years, and every airline and cargo companies, by the way, the cargo companies are fighting for pilots as well. So that in my mind, that's a no-brainer. If he wants to do that, he would come out of it with them throwing opportunities at him. They will train him how to fly the things, and he can just get out and go do his own thing at that point. They'll be throwing stuff at him.
Okay, well, thank you, Jason. I'm so thankful that I called tonight and got on the line. So thank you. That really helped me.
Well, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Please do give us a call again. Let me get caller from area code 423. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Thank you for taking my call. My name is Marcus. I'm calling out of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Marcus out of Chattanooga. What's on your mind, brother?
Well, I have 2 points and then a question, if I could, sir. My first point is dealing with the immediate threat of Alex Jones and his followers. The only solution that a lot of people aren't really talking about, and I'll be brief just to make sure none of this gets flagged, is that we really are going to have to have some warriors
Here's the
step
thing,
up
brother.
and go on the offensive.
Here's the thing. For tonight's program, I've really opened it up to the people who want to call and ask me questions. I get a lot of folks who want to ask me business questions and things, so we'll have to see about taking care of Alex later. But tonight's phone calls are really, I'm really only here to discuss if people want to call up and talk to me to ask me things like the young lady just called a few moments ago. I'm making this available to people. We had a bunch of calls. I got a couple dozen calls on the line right now. So, folks, we're really only dealing with people who want to call up and ask me questions. If you want about business, about economics, you can call up and ask me that. Other than that, if there's anybody else on the line for anything else, please just wait till Saturday. We'll come back around to that, okay? In the meantime, what I want to do here is we're going to take a very brief break. And like I said, this will give a moment for everybody who's on the line. If you may have mistakenly called in and believed that tonight was a night when we discuss politics, it is not. It's only if you wanted to call up to ask your business questions. That's what tonight is for. In the meantime, we're going to take a very brief break here. This is the Black Channel.
We're in the middle of an unprecedented global pandemic. The CDC now has recommended that every American wear a mask in public to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Masks protect you from other people's germs and protect them from yours. They help you to safely do the essential things you need during this pandemic, like grocery shopping, picking up needed medicines, or going to the doctor. By slowing the spread, you are doing your part to end the pandemic, restart the economy, and return to normal. We are a business that is proud to do our part in providing this much-needed product. Check out our website, iwantamask.com, for the latest pricing. We are proud to offer discounts and free shipping for large orders.
This is the Black Channel, and we are very glad to have you all with us here this evening. Let me get caller from area code, well, this seems like an outside the country caller. Caller from 447, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hi, Jason. Robert here from Northampton, UK.
Robert from Northampton, and what do you want to ask, brother?
I wanted to discuss regarding getting into IT. I work in IT in the UK. I have a lot of experience in the field. I specialize in Microsoft products. So I just wanted to maybe illuminate some of your users, some of the people who listen to your show, so your broadcast about getting into IT.
Okay, what did you want to say?
Well, my advice for anyone who wants to get into IT would be first, think about an area in IT you want to work in. IT is very broad. You've got things like programming, engineering, cloud applications, project management. If you have a passion for IT or specific area in IT, I would look at that. Also, once you've picked an area in IT you want to specialize in, you should really go for products, specialize in products. Most of the job roles out there, they would want you to have product speciality. So, for example, if you went into networking, you'd need to know, for example, Cisco products, specialize in Cisco products. Most of the vendors out there actually have free training on their websites as well as certification. Speaking about myself, I'm a Microsoft certified expert. I specialize in mail systems, as well as Office 365. For anyone who wants to specialize in that area, I would suggest they go to Microsoft Learning website. You have all the courses there, whether you want to specialize in SharePoint, Exchange, OneDrive, Microsoft Teams, Skype for Business, any other Microsoft products, and you can also register and sit the exams there. Also, I would recommend people before they start picking up books and studying, they should look at the job market. There's two things they need to focus on here. Number one, the type of jobs that are being advertised. And not only just the type of jobs that are being advertised, but the number of jobs being advertised. Because what can happen is you can see, so say for example, you were going into software programming, you may see 5 or 6 jobs that want Python, paying lots of money. But if you go and study that, there's only a handful of jobs available, whereas there may be 100 jobs for people who have skills in C++. It may be paying less, but there's more work there. Also, what you need to look at is a trend. So whatever you learn today, will it be relevant in 2 or 3 years' time? So I would recommend people go into IT, but it's not easy. So you have to be prepared to work hard, to study hard. I don't know if there's anything you want to ask me in more detail. I'm more than happy to provide any responses here.
Let me ask you first of all, the first question that people will want to know is about how long would it take for them basically to go from not knowing anything at all to beginning the training until they are proficient enough to be able to have it marketable as a skill set. Would you say that it's basically once they finish the course, let's just say for example, if they take it from one from Google or Microsoft to become Microsoft certified, once they finish the course, they should be ready?
So yes, you can do the online course. You can sit the exams. So you have multiple NCP exams, Microsoft Certified Professional, and they're normally grouped into a product set. So once you've done a handful of those, you would get what's called a Microsoft Certified Solutions Expert qualification. Depending on how hard you're prepared to work. I mean, I did my first Microsoft exam back in 1998. It took me 3 months to be a Microsoft Certified Solutions Expert. Now, that's the first stage. The second stage is actually getting the job, because you may have the qualifications, but you don't have the experience. And when you apply for roles, they look at, well, what you in America call resume, we call it CV here. But what they want to look at is not just that you have the skills, but you've been able to apply those skills at companies, so reputable companies. So what I would recommend is you get a job in IT, any job, it doesn't really matter, and study on the side. Because before you really start making decent money, you normally need a certain amount of experience. It could be 6 to 9 months. Obviously, it also depends how good you are at interviews. If you're able to sort of sell yourself, then that'll be easier. But the two things companies look at is product knowledge and experience, as well as experience of applying that knowledge at various companies. I heard a few people called up your broadcast talking about qualifications like CompTIA, Network Plus and A Plus. They're good qualifications to have, but they're not product specific. So I would caution people against doing those qualifications, because it's okay going into companies and applying for jobs and saying, yeah, I have the Network Plus, or I have the A Plus, or I even have an IT degree. What they want to know is, okay, can you use Microsoft Office? Can you use Microsoft Exchange? Can you use these versions? Can you use Teams? Can you use Skype for Business? Can you use Cisco routers and switches? Can you use mail security products like Minesweeper, Proofpoint, Cisco IAM ports? So what you really need to have is product speciality.
Okay, because that was something. For those of you who see my documentary Race War, I was cataloging the fact that a lot of these Silicon Valley corporations today are switching from favoring people based on quote degrees and whatnot, and favoring instead based on experience, which of course is going to be very heavily weighted in favor of white applicants, because experience is really a subjective term. Experience is not really an objective term, it's really subjective. So that is something in particular I've been very wary of and very concerned about, especially where IT is concerned with a lot of these large companies.
If I could quickly jump in, Jason, this isn't recent. This has always been the case. I've been working in the industry since 1998. I came into it out of university at the age of 25. They have always prioritized professional qualifications over an IT degree.
Well, here in the
My
States,
IT degree hasn't really done much for me.
Here in the States, I'm not sure exactly what's been happening over there. Here in the States, I can tell you, it's really, you're correct. Experience always matters. It's not that it's never mattered. It's up until now, you actually did have some weight to be able to throw around if you had a proper degree. Now that they've set up their own training programs, their own online courses, they basically have said that's out the window altogether. That's been a major change as far as we're concerned. Because it's one thing to say, okay, you have degree and experience. Then they're like, to hell with your degree. We're doing this over here now. And you really don't need it. So that does open up a lot because in reality, you can probably make it through most of those courses from what I've seen in 6 months. But by the same token, now the question I had, and that's something that you addressed, that word experience doesn't just, I didn't think it did, and it doesn't just mean completing the training course. It also means what you do after that. Now, of course, my issue is if for white applicants, finish the training course and somebody will take you in and they'll give you the hookup. For black folk, it's not going to work that way. It never works that way as far as we're concerned. So I definitely am very concerned about those things in the future here. Let me ask you another question here. Would you say that most of this type of training here should be geared towards one of the large multinationals like a Microsoft or a Cisco, or more towards, are you seeing more work going to like mid-sized companies?
So if I could just quickly roll back, these training courses actually come with certification. And it's a certification that companies have always prioritized. As long as I've been in IT, they always say, okay, do you have product knowledge as well as experience, product knowledge? So if you can say, I have these Microsoft qualifications, plus I have worked for Microsoft, Fujitsu, Bank of America, whoever. But these IT qualifications that come from the vendors, whether it's Microsoft or Cisco, they have always carried the most weight. It's the same in the UK and it's the same in America because I work international. Most of the companies I work for are conglomerates. I'm more than happy to provide you with proof of who I am. I think I sent it to you in your Facebook. But basically, I hold the highest Microsoft qualification for messaging. I'm probably one of only 200 people globally who hold this qualification. I've worked for the biggest banks in the UK. I've worked for the biggest bank in Switzerland. I worked for the biggest bank in the Netherlands. Most of the companies I work with have over 100,000 people. And I am normally the main messaging guy. And they've always prioritized Microsoft qualifications. Always. It's not a recent thing. Always, if you work in networking, Cisco qualifications carry the weight. If you work in with Microsoft products, it's always been the Microsoft qualifications. I made that mistake of studying at university and coming out with an IT degree, and I couldn't get a job for 6 months because every interview I went for, they said, okay, that's fine, you've got your IT degree, but can you demonstrate proficiency in these applications? And the best way of doing that is to have the qualification.
Well, I certainly don't dispute about whether or not you need to have certification.
Yeah,
I think that's always been something, especially if you're going to be working with Microsoft products. Obviously, you're going to want a Microsoft certification. That's for certain.
Yeah.
But I really want to deal with the question. I really want to deal. Our time is limited. I really want to deal with the question I was asking. In your experience, has most of the work been going for the multinationals, or has been going for mid-sized companies?
It comes from everywhere. Most of the work, for example, I don't work for anybody. I contract out, so I work with Microsoft on occasions, or sometimes I work directly for these large institutions. But it depends on your skill level and experience. I tend to work with the larger institutions because I have the skill level to work in complex environments. And also, the kind of wages I demand, only large companies are prepared to pay that because of the service I offer. But, it could be, local councils who have maybe 10,000 people, or mid-sized companies or large companies. There's work out there for everyone, as long as you're prepared to work hard to get the qualification and to build up your experience, your level of experience. I did hear something from, I think it was a female caller yesterday, who said with a Cisco CCNA qualification you can earn six figures. I would strongly dispute that. The CCNA is an entry-level qualification.
It sounds like you strongly dispute a lot of things, but I would just caution. I don't think it's that everybody in the world is wrong except you. I'm not going to dispute your qualifications.
No.
I'm not going to dispute your qualifications.
That, Jason.
I'm not going to dispute your experience. However, let's please be aware, brother. It can't be that everybody in the world is wrong except this guy from the UK. That's just really not possible.
Sorry, I don't want to give that impression. When I say I strongly dispute it, I don't mean that they're wrong. All I'm saying is from the experience of me and many peers of mine, I have a fair idea what qualifications and what skill levels, the kind of salary they would draw. And, if you have an entry-level qualification, to make big money, you've got to have years and years and years of experience. I can only speak from my experience, and I can only speak mainly from the UK market, which is not very different from America.
Define big money, because big money means something different in America than it means in Britain. I can tell you that for a fact. So first and foremost, when you say you need lots of experience to make big money, what exactly is big money to you?
Well, of course, it's subjective. So anything above six figures, so $100,000, which at the moment is probably around £80,000. Very few people in IT earn that kind of money. You have to be very good at what you're doing to start, making 100,000 plus. There aren't that many jobs out there, especially for black people.
I see some folk in the chat room and whatnot. I want to make sure we're clarifying about this, because people like Liz and Golightly who called in and whatnot, who work in these areas for some of these companies like that. What they were describing was basically they were laying out, which is what we try to do here. There's a lot of different things that people can do. And of course, what you're saying is, well, it's best if you choose a specific discipline, and you're talking about doing your due diligence, which absolutely, folks, you do want to do your due diligence. Just like the lady whose son called about her nephew wanting to get into aeronautics. Certainly, you do want to have a discipline, and you certainly don't want to just choose, well, just pick something in IT and throw a dart at the board and hope for the best. Well, that's not really the best way to do anything. You do want to do some work to investigate exactly what's available and, of course, where the trend is going in 5 or 10 years. And yes, you're right. You only see one position open for one type of discipline. That might not be the place to go. You might want to choose something that's got a lot of things available. So what I call portability. You can pick it up and take it somewhere else if you need to, or if the market changes in your area. And that's all very helpful. I think what they were naming, though, when they were naming things like A+ or CCNA or whatever, they're really talking about entry level to get started to learn. And then from there, folks can make changes if they want to. Because here's the real thing. I understand what you're saying. And here's the part where I will make one adjustment. I understand what you're saying about, well, you want to make sure that you choose something that is in demand or whatnot. Here's the problem. Most black folk don't know anybody who works at any of these companies anywhere to be able to make a subjective decision one way or the other. I would much rather they just get started and get in the ecosystem.
Gone quiet, Jason.
Okay.
I don't know if that's me or...
That's on your end.
You.
That's on your end. I would much rather that they get started so that they can
Hello?
actually get beginning on it, as opposed to
Hello?
spending years. He's not hearing something apparently, but I would much rather they get started because the hardest thing that I've been able to do is to get people to even begin. It's been hard enough for me to even get them to get started. Caller, see if you can go ahead and just hang up and maybe see if you can give us a call back. Because for some reason he's not hearing us right now, but see if you can give us a call back here instead and see if we can get your phone line straightened out. But one of the hardest things we have is getting people to begin. I would much rather take a guy and a person and get them started. And then if they're 6 months down the road and they need to make adjustments, that'll be a hell of a lot easier than taking a person who's got nothing. Because right now we don't have enough black folk who are involved to be able to decide even what they don't want, much less to be able to decide what they do want. So it's real nice to throw Microsoft certs, Cisco certs, Siemens, um, Python, and everything else. It's real nice to be able to throw that. But right now, we need folks to just get started. That's the major thing we're looking at. We need for folks to just begin. So if we could do that, I think that would help a lot. Let me get a caller from area code 770. You're on live with Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Kamisha. I'm calling from Atlanta.
Hello, Kamisha from Atlanta. What's on your mind?
Yes,
Give me just a
I'm
moment here,
getting some
Kamisha.
credit card debt.
Okay, Kamisha, hold on just a moment here. Let me try to muting you here because it's got a lacious squeal going on in the line. We'll see if we can try to mute you, unmute you again. Hopefully that goes away. Okay, what did you want to ask, Kamisha?
Okay, I'm in some credit card debt, and I heard something about a debt validation letter. What is that, and how can I use it?
Okay, you said you heard about leveraging credit card debt.
Yes, a debt validation letter is something that my aunt told me about,
Debt
and I'm not quite
validation.
sure what that is.
Debt validation. I'm not exactly certain what
Yes.
it's trying to validate. Be a little more specific.
Well, my credit card debt is in collections currently, and they're saying that I can send in some kind of letter to validate the debt so I can either pay it back or not or something. I'm not too sure.
Okay, let me find out here. How much do you owe?
Well, one credit card is like $3,200.
Okay, one credit card is $3,200, and another one.
Another one is like 8,700.
Wow, notice how she gave me the small one first. How old are you, Kamisha?
I'm 27.
27 years old. How did you get? How much do you owe total? Credit cards and everything else. How much do you owe total?
So including my car note, like close to 20,000.
$20,000. What kind of car did you buy, by the way, Kamisha?
This is 2014 Chevy Impala.
2014 Chevy Impala. When did you buy this 2014 Impala, by the way?
About 3 years ago.
And what city do you live in again?
Atlanta.
I can guess that. And how many kids do you have, Kamisha?
I have no kids.
None at all.
No.
For some reason I'm skeptical, but I'll leave that one alone. All right, Kamisha's got $20,000 in debt. How much does Kamisha make per month?
I make peanuts. I make $11.50 an hour, and I don't even work full time most of the time.
Why does Kamisha not work full time?
It depends on our workload.
Depends on our workload. Sounds like Kamisha is not a skilled worker. That's what it sounds like. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know. I guess I do a data entry for a living.
In other words, Kenesha does not have a trade. Here's the thing I want you to understand, okay? The city that you are in has turned ultra treacherous to anybody who doesn't have a trade. You are a young person. Right now, you don't have a skill. And you are you are highly susceptible to being victimized economically. Atlanta is becoming an ever increasingly expensive place to be very, very quickly. And you are falling behind, as evidenced by the debts you've run up. Now, I'm not really sure what letter you've received, although it sounds like is that like some type of debt consolidation. That what it's offering you?
No, it's from the actual. Well, my credit card's went to collection, so that's why I'm receiving the letters from the collection agency.
Okay. Your cards have gone into collection, and you received a letter from the collection agency.
Right.
Okay, is that the letter you were referencing previously?
Yes.
And you wanted to know what to do about it? Is that what you called me for?
Well, I heard something about a debt validation letter. From what I've heard, um, you're supposed to send it back to the collection agency, and they're supposed to send something back to me saying that this debt is valid or invalid.
Right. And after you do that, then what are you going to
I mean, I'm going to try and stack money if I can get rid of the debt.
do? So basically, you're saying that somebody sends you a letter and they want you to validate whether or not the debt is valid. Let me ask you a couple of things here, because you get a lot of folk who try to say a lot of things in this regard. I wouldn't answer any type of letter in the first place. There's a reason for that. If the debts are valid, that's one thing. If they are not, that's another. If you know you owe people, it doesn't really help to start talking to people until you're ready to pay them. Because if you're in a situation where the debt may be getting ready to go dormant or whatever, once you make contact with somebody, that can start the clock all over again. So you really don't contact people until you're ready to pay them. Okay?
Okay.
So the first thing I would tell you is, contrary to what most people tell you, no, don't do that. Actually, don't do that. Somebody is contacting you because they want to get documentation that you're there. Understand? So my first advice to you would be, don't do that. If somebody's going to take you to court behind it, you'll get a subpoena.
No.
Well, it's not the end of the world, but just understand if you cannot pay them, that could possibly happen. Believe it or not, it usually is for a bit more than what you got there, but if you're ornery, they might make an issue. Here's the real issue I have. How did you rack up $8,000 on your credit card?
I had to end up quitting my job last year, and while I was looking for a job, I had to use my credit card.
Okay, you had a job, and you ended up, quote, having to quit your job. Why did you end up having to, quote, quit your job?
Health issues.
Okay, have those health issues been resolved?
Yes.
Okay, how long did it take to resolve your health issues?
Um, I'd say about 6 months.
Okay, and might I ask what was the health issue that could be resolved in 6 months? However, required you to actually quit your job?
Well, the job was I worked at night, so I was um, majorly depressed. So the job was causing depression, so I had to quit. And I worked on getting better, and I found a job.
I was working at a job and I got depressed. Why did you get depressed? There's a reason why I'm asking this.
Um, well, first I worked at night, which I don't think is good for the body, and the work-life balance was that wasn't healthy either. I was working like double shift almost.
Okay, I worked at night for many, many years. I worked double shifts too. I never got depression out of it. What exactly was it you were doing working at night that caused depression?
Well, I was working at a bank, and I was doing a lot processing. I was processing checks.
You're working at a bank at night processing checks and this caused depression.
Not the job itself. I love the job, but it was just the schedule and the work-life balance that was really draining me.
I got to tell you right now, just between you and me, that doesn't sound quite right. Sounds like something else was happening. Sounds like there was some other issue happening. So just understand it's a lot easier to assist people when you know exactly what's going on with this. So I help you with this. Sounds like something else was happening and the job was kind of sick of stuff happening. So you kind of left before getting fired or something like that. That's what it sounds more like. That seems to make a bit more sense. I was at the job and was getting depressed because I had a job. Well, we had double shift hours, but you took the job. Well, 6 months later, I got a new job. Okay, are you getting depressed over there? Nope, doing just fine. Okay, something else, something else is happening here. Still working the job, all of a sudden, I ain't depressed anymore. It sounds, brothers and sisters, it sounds like maybe real life caught up to her. I'm highly suspicious that that's what occurred. She was kind of young and being irresponsible, and there's a lot of that going on in Atlanta. They want to get in trouble first and then grow up second. And by that time, you are just over about. So it sounds like something else was going on. I don't know if it was pregnancy or some dude you were in it with or whatever. I suspect it was something more along those lines. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because if that has not been resolved, then it's only going to be a matter of time before that becomes an issue again. Because here's the real thing you were not too depressed to go tap your credit cards. And I have a suspicion that if I asked you to take a look at your credit card statements, I have a suspicion those credit card statements are not going to show rent because you can't pay rent with a credit card, nor can you pay a car note with a credit card. So for 6 months, just out of curiosity, how are you paying your rent and your car note for 6 months if you were of a credit card? You weren't using a credit card, so what were you
Uh, in between jobs, I had to drive for Uber.
using? Okay, you had a job for Uber, but you were hitting your credit cards. So what were you hitting the credit cards for? It wasn't for rent and your car note, so it wasn't for that. So what were you running up that credit card?
My car note and insurance.
Okay, but you can't use a credit card to pay for a car note. So that you can't do that.
That's how I paid with my credit card.
So you're saying that you paid your car note with your credit card.
Yes, I didn't have any other way to pay it.
stop making payments on that credit card? After you quit your job, when did you stop making payments?
I quit my job last April, and I had to stop taking them like May, June. I didn't have any income.
When you stopped, you quit your job last April, and you quit making payments 90 days later. 60 to 90 days later. The reason why I asked about that is because that is significant as well. Usually the credit card company is going to hit on you after about 90 days of not making payments. You have made payments 90 days. Yes, you can get cash advances, people, but you can't get a cash advance for $3,000. Okay, stop talking silly. You can't get a cash advance for $3,000. Do you live by yourself, or you live with your parents?
With my mom.
Okay. As I said, folks, you're not going to be able to get a cash advance that's going to pay the rent. That's not what's going to occur. And she wasn't spending $8,000 on rent. So that means the money was going somewhere other than to necessities.
Yes.
Okay. What were the things you were running up on your credit card, ma'am?
Well, I did buy a plane ticket to Seattle. That was like $500.
You live in Atlanta, but you bought a plane ticket to Seattle. What's the gentleman's name in Seattle?
I don't have a romantic anyone in Seattle. I was visiting my brother and his wife.
You were visiting your brother and his wife in Seattle during a period of unemployment, and you were so depressed during this time that you quote had to quit your job end quote and started running up bills on your credit card. And during this time of turmoil, you didn't have a problem with spending $900 to fly to Seattle simply to, quote, go visit your brother and his wife. Just out of curiosity, you got out there to Seattle with your brother and his wife. What exactly did you do out there in Seattle?
Oh, well, just to clarify, I didn't go to Seattle during my unemployment. That was just a big purchase I made on the credit card.
Okay, ma'am, you said that you had quit your job in April of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, how much did you have on your credit card approximately by the time you quit your job?
Oh, it was like $6,000.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that this gets back to the point I was making. Your job and quitting had nothing to do with the debts you ran up on those credit cards. That's the point I'm trying to get here, and I'm trying to articulate this to everyone else. I don't know why it is so hard to help certain folk in black society. It's because when you go over these facts and whatnot, she's circling back around and saying things. No, she's not losing me here. I'm like, okay, because I know it makes no sense. Remember what I told you all last night? When you're talking business with somebody, the numbers always make sense. If I'm hearing numbers and events don't line up with the numbers, it's going to sound confusing until we unravel this. You were running up your credit cards way before you ever started, quote unquote, having trouble with your job, being, quote, depressed. You were already doing that. There were bad habits already. You telling me you wasn't getting flued out. And I'm like, you're talking to me like, understand something. You're talking to me like I'm stupid. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. I learned this too when I was your age. Only I didn't lie to my financial advisor. I wanted to go make a big huge purchase of a very expensive vehicle. I wanted him to tell me how I could do it. And when he told me, you can't afford this, I got up and left. 6 months later, I was bankrupt. I didn't like what my advisor told me, so I got up and left. I didn't listen. In your case, you're giving your advisor bad information, either because you haven't been able to stand up to it or whatever, but you're going to have to deal with that. That's going to be something important to have, okay? So I can help you, but first and foremost, I'm here to fix an issue. I'm not here to masticate it, okay? So I will help you with this. First and foremost, you have to level with this, okay? You're going to have to come to terms with it. And as they say, you're going to have to tell us where ground zero really is. Not this very pleasing, soothing fantasy that you've created, which makes it easier for you to be around. You're going to have to level with exactly where bottom really is. So first and foremost, you were running up a bunch of money before the job ever became an issue by your version of the events. You were running up a bunch of money then, already. You were already doing it. And then kept going. What that tells us is depression didn't do this, the job didn't do this, habits did this. Those habits have not been dealt with. There ain't no way in the world you gonna pay these cards off or pay anybody else off or work out a settlement plan. To the folks in the chat room who were saying it before, we need to tell them about a settlement plan. We need to tell them about pennies on the dollar. Folks, this is why you all can't fix your financial issues. If she has bad financial habits, ain't no sense in me discussing a settlement. There's no sense in me discussing a payment plan. There isn't even any sense in discussing making a payment if she's got bad spending habits, no matter where they originate from. There's no point in me even starting that discussion. A bunch of y'all are used to wasting time with people. Financial discussions go nowhere with you. You waste time. I'm not going to waste the time about it. If she's got bad habits, there's no point in even starting those other things. Well, you can do this, she can't do nothing if she's got bad habits. Every time she gets a spare $400 in the bank, she's going to go blow it. No, I ain't going to do that. The past is the best indicator of the future. You're going to go blow it. No, then learn my lesson. No, you haven't. So we have to begin there before you do anything. It's like being physically fit. We can't just take the Snicker bars out of your hand and you're going to be okay. It has to be part of a total life change in the way in which you deal with things, top to bottom. I'm not going to jump on you about the car. I think you need the car. Anybody who's living in Atlanta understands, okay, you need the car. You have to have insurance if you're going to have the car. Okay, fine. Downsize for rent, you live with your mom. Great. But you're not maximizing your gains. You're not maximizing your gains because you're wasting money. Even at $11 an hour, there's been a lot of waste going on. And that was when you were at your other job. But even now at $11 an hour, there's a lot of waste going on. If she starts with these companies, she's going to have to finish whatever she starts. Now I'm going to give you a couple of pieces of information. But this information will be useless and worthless if you do not use it properly. Understand? Okay, speak up, ma'am. Okay, we are not children here. Speak up. I'm a grown man. You are supposedly a grown woman. Speak like one. I'm not here to coddle you. Too many of you all have been coddled. You haven't been treated like adults. Someone is treated like an adult. You are going to first and foremost have to eliminate any and all unnecessary spending. I bet you if I take a look at your bank account, take a look at the transactions, I will see a wealth of unnecessary spending. I'm a firm believer that you can't get anything spent up until you increase your income. Otherwise, all you'll really be doing is limping from month to month. You got that?
Yes.
Okay. At $11 $11 an hour, it is going to be very difficult for you to be able to take care of this in the short term. You can do it. You can certainly do it, but this is going to be hard. Okay? This is going to be hard. 40 hours a week, you're making at most about $1,600 a month, minus taxes. That's not going to leave very much money left over. Understand? That's the yes, sir. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Do not have enough money. Doing Uber is a very good way to tear up your car. It can be very difficult to put money aside after that. You do not have a skill. We need to get you fixed so that you actually have a skill, something that will appreciate in value and increase over time, so that you are constantly getting ahead, not falling behind. Understand?
Yeah.
Right now, you do not have a skill. I do data processing. That's not a skill. Furthermore, I don't even know what the hell data processing means in the 21st century. That used to mean something back in 1980. I don't know what that means today. I am going to highly, highly encourage you that you need to consider nursing, you need to consider IT, or you may want to consider a trade. That's the only way that you are going to get ahead now. Either that or you need a banging ass body and see if you can grab one of the rappers in Atlanta. Those are going to be your 4 options. You are falling behind, and this will not go away because you don't make enough money to make this go away. Right now, you're basically at minimum wage is what you're basically at minimum wage. And whether you pay these credit cards or not, there's not enough money left over for you to get started on anything else. So let me ask you, what are we going to do to increase your income?
I haven't gotten that far yet, as far as like a trade, because I'm not really interested in any trade. Like I'm still in the banking industry, and it's a staple.
Okay, let me ask you
Still
something
working.
here. Okay, here's the problem, okay? Listen to what you just said. I'm in the banking industry, all right? How much are you making in the banking industry right now per hour?
11.50, but it's still 10 agency.
Okay? And if you weren't working for the temp agency, how much would you be making then?
I'll be making 16 to 17 an hour.
Okay, so to my folks who live in Atlanta, Georgia, congratulations. She just tried to check me. She said, well, you don't understand, Jason. I'm only getting $11 an hour because I work through a temp agency, nigga. But you don't know. If I get through the bank, I'd be making $16 or $17 an hour in Atlanta, Georgia, in the 21st century. She thinks they're making $16 an hour in Atlanta, Georgia, in the 21st century, that would set everything right. She's not listening.
Wow.
Now, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. I mean this in a very serious way. This tells me about how y'all's mothers raised you. I know that's a mother thing. A man wouldn't tell you that. You're saying to yourself, well, I'm doing better than my mom was doing. I'm telling you right now, you don't even have enough to keep up right now. Not doing better. You don't even have enough to keep up. That's the point I'm trying to help you understand. You need to be making somewhere north of $20 an hour. Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
Yes.
You're about to be 30 years old here in a couple of years, you need to be making somewhere north of $20 an hour if you wish to survive in Atlanta. I didn't say thrive. If you just want to be a bum broad in Atlanta, you need to be making north of $20 an hour. There's no way you're going to be able to keep up at $15 an hour. When you finish doing the math on all of that, you realize that $15 an hour, you're going to take home maybe what, $2,000 a month? It's not going to be that big of a difference. That's the point I'm trying to make to you here. It's not really going to be that giant. It's not going to be, I'm going to go from struggling to middle class. That's not what's going to happen. And if you don't have a plan for getting there now, that's the problem. And what you just told me is, first of all, if you could get hired directly to the bank, what are you waiting
on? Really waiting on my manager.
Okay. In other words, you're waiting on that mystical, magical, the white folks are eventually going to put me on, and I won't have to go to the temp agency anymore. And in the meantime, while you're waiting on that, look what's happening. How long have you been working on this job through that temp agency? More than 3 months?
Yes, it's been about 6 months now.
It's been 6 months, and they haven't switched you over from the temp agency to the company yet. Have you figured the game out yet?
I see what you're saying.
Okay. You waiting for that phone call 6 months later, you still haven't gotten it. They hire people through temp agencies specifically so they do not have to pay benefits and they do not have to give you a raise. That's what temp agencies have always been for. And they always dangle the carrot that if y'all do what you're supposed to do, then eventually we will hire you directly. It's been 6 damn months and you're still waiting. Do you realize that in the last 6 months, you could have been a CNA and probably an LPN, making more than you are making at this place right now? Oh, yeah, and that's going to school. You could have worked your job, gone to school, and been making more than you're making right now in the last 6 months. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand, but that's what I was saying before, like with my other job. I was getting paid enough money where I could stack my money and everything, but the work environment and working at night, it just kind of drained me. And
ma'am, you already explained that. And you think you were making good money, but then you're also complaining that you had to work double shifts. If you get a skill, you will be able to make double shift money in one shift. That's what I'm trying to communicate to you. You have not invested in yourself. You're still trying to get middle class income from an entry level job. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. You're going to have to divorce yourself from that. It didn't work for your mom. It's not going to work for you either. You're in the 21st century. They used to have entry-level jobs that paid middle-class income. They don't anymore. You all are getting what you think is significant. Yeah, 20 years ago, it would have been significant. Today, it is minimum wage. Anything below $18 an hour is minimum wage. If you're not making north of 20, you are going to be struggling. Now, my job is to help educate you so that you understand what will work and what is struggling. What you're doing is struggling, and there isn't an exit plan here. What you're doing does not have an exit strategy. Even if the bank hired you directly, you would see a marginal change on your paycheck, and that is it. But you're not actually going to be getting ahead. And all it will take is one serious situation, one real health incident. You haven't had one yet. Just one real health incident, and Down you go. Down you go. So, do you understand how that works? I want you to understand where you really are. You asked me what to do about the credit cards, and I'm like, you do realize the problem's not the credit cards, right? The credit cards are not the problem. The problem is you're going to have to recalibrate your finances from bottom to top. Your life needs a direction. And the temp agency and what y'all got, the bank is good enough, and I sit on my ass and move papers. Well, yeah, you can do that, but ma'am, you're going to have to start really elevating towards something. You're going to have to start doing that. You are going to have to start getting a skill that no matter what a temp agency or the job does. By the way, that bank can hire you this year, let you go next year. I thought the coronavirus epidemic taught y'all that. That bank can hire you this year and let you go next year. They can hire you this year and close the branch you're at, or leave the city you're in, or just phase out your position. They hired it as a temporary position. That tells you that's marginal. They're not sure they want to keep it. They could hire you this year and fire you next, or lay you off for good next year. Would you like to be impervious to that in the future?
Yes.
Then you need to start investing in yourself. And that begins with actually having a skill, not relying on, well, let me fill out an application and hope for the best. I hope the temp agency can hook me up. I hope one of my friends can hook me up. That's not adulthood. Adulthood is taking control of things, seizing things with your own two hands, and investing in yourself. You have a skill set, then you can take it from one place to another. If one job shuts down, it's portable. You can pick it up and take it somewhere else, even to another state if you need to. But you will not be destitute. And, oh, yeah, you won't watch your income go down. Right now, you're in a situation where you're going to spend your weeks. And you're just going to be trying to stay one step ahead of the league. That's where you are right now. Right now, with the type of money that you're making, I don't see how, $1,600 a month minus taxes. If she tries to pay $200 on each of those credit cards, she's basically going to spend the next 10 years paying on those credit cards, which is literally what will happen. If you can't pay $400 or $500 a month, you're literally never going to be able to pay those things off.
Okay, I have a question. So I do 10-key data entry. So I've been looking for other jobs and even out of state, and there are a lot of lockbox jobs that I can do. Um, like you don't think that's a skill, 10-key data entry?
Okay? How much are these out of state 10-key data entry jobs offering today?
I've seen positions in North Carolina that pay, I want to say $17. I think that was in Seattle. They pay, well, their minimum wage is like $15.
Okay? Where are you going to be living in North Carolina? Quit and went there now. Where would you be
Um, Not sure. I haven't gotten that far yet.
Right now, you're living up. What I'm saying is you're not planning. This is what I mean. It's time for you to start planning your life. Stop being knocked around. Stop dealing with every situation with crises. And crisis is where you are constantly trying to regroup. Let me fill out an application and hope the temp agency will hook me up. That is dealing with life from a position of crisis. I'm advising you. Stop dealing with the world from a position of crisis. Let's actually start dealing with it from a position of control. bouncing from one place to another because you think you found an industry that will give you a little old job skill. That, well, I got a job skill. There's a difference between a trade skill and a job skill. So you found a job that maybe you go somewhere and it works out. North Carolina, I mean, you're just going to hop from one hotbed of racism to another. Good luck on that. Plus, now you're going to have a whole new world of expenses to pay. I think you're in the right position to regroup right now. You're just being lazy. You are not willing to discuss investing in you to get a real skill. What you got right now is a cool little position with a cool little job that's all cute and everything. It is time to get you an actual skill. So this will help you keep from drowning in the meantime, but you need to get an actual skill. Is what you need to actually get. So that you are no longer subject to the whims and vagaries of the market in Atlanta or anywhere else. You have something that is portable and isn't dependent upon whoever the case manager is at the temp agency or what the job market in your city or state may be doing. Oh, yeah, and one other thing. You want a skill that increases in value over time. So you can tell me about what you got right there right now, but in 5 years, is it going to go from paying $17 an hour to paying 23? That's just $1 a year. Is it going to give you $1 a year increase every year? Oh, it isn't? You mean in 5 years you'll probably still be making $17 an hour? Maybe 18 if you're lucky? We're not planning our lives. You need to start planning. And that means you need to start investing in yourself. I'm not saying that you need to be a nurse. What I am saying is it's time for you to pick up something you can actually use, something that is portable, and something that will increase in value over time. Right now, you're trying to avoid that.
No, I just wasn't. I don't do well in the in the health field. I don't think I would really do well.
Well, here's okay.
That's what. All right,
I want you to understand something here. We're working something that didn't have anything to do with healthcare. I don't like working at night. I didn't like working double shifts. I don't like working healthcare. Ma'am, you're going to waste your life trying to get the world to copy. You don't become a better, more valuable person by trying to get the rest of the world to copy. They have coddled you into financial oblivion. Right now, you are in your late 20s looking at a financial situation that's going to take you your mid 30s to get straightened out. And in the meantime, life is passing by while you're trying to get people to copy. You need to start becoming a person who says, you know what? I'm good at doing things I don't like. Because nobody is here to kiss your ass and try to hand you the situation you want. They want to know how you will be of use to them, not about your whims and your pet peeves. And, oh, I just don't like that. If you think that's going to work for you, you go right ahead and you try that. Oh, wait a minute, that's what got you where you are now, trying to get the rest of the world to copy. You need to become a stronger person who is good at doing things that people don't like. Or should I say that you don't like? You need to be a person. Have you ever heard of the word adapt? Okay, so will you please explain to me why it is that you are such a special snowflake that the rest of us need to learn how to adapt to the world, but you are so special that you don't need to learn how to adapt?
well, that's not the case. What I was saying was, I don't think I would do good with nursing. Another trade I may be interested in, like I like cars, and I think I'd be interested in working on cars, like being a mechanic or something. But nursing, I can't really, I can't.
Okay. Well, I think you are referring to auto repair. I think that would be a novel thing. When would you like to start?
Um, as soon as I can,
As soon as you
this
can.
COVID-19 stuff.
Okay. Have you looked at enrolling in school for it? I'm sure they have a trade school. I know for a fact they have a school there in Georgia that will teach you automotive repair.
Yes, I was thinking about going
I
back
was
to
thinking about it.
my.
Here's what I want for you to do, okay? Are you listening?
Yes.
I would like for you to give me a call back after you have enrolled. That's what I would like for you to do.
Okay.
I want you to go. I want you to sign up. I want you to enroll. And then I want you to give me a call back. Say, Jason, I've gone and I've enrolled. Because I very much want to have that conversation with you. I very much want to engage in that conversation with you. I would be very, very interested in speaking to you after you've done it. Do you think you can do that for me?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. When would you like to get started? Because this isn't contingent on the coronavirus. So when would you like to get started?
Um, I can get started tomorrow.
Okay. In that case, then I would like to hear back from
Okay.
you. When am I going to hear back from
Um, I don't know whenever I can call back. I don't know when I can call back.
you? Like me to call you back?
Uh, sure, you can do that.
Why don't you see about taking care of that first and then we can talk?
Okay.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I look forward to hearing from you. So my folks out there, if you're age 30 and under, hey, nobody is here to coddle you. I want the right job, and oh, I don't like that over there. And just understand all these immigrants they're bringing over here, that's the excuse they use. You're getting gentrified to hell, and the police are free to brutalize who will. And a lot of you have been raised to be children by parents who have coddled you and infantilized you into oblivion. You become more valuable to the world by letting the world know what it is you are able to do, not by telling the world what you can't do or what you won't do. That does not make you more valuable. Let me get my caller from the UK here. Is this still Robert on the line?
Yes, Jason, I'm here. Sorry about getting cut off. I couldn't hear you after a while.
We were able to hear you just fine. For some reason, you weren't able to hear us. Anyway, I want you to go ahead and just wrap up your thoughts for us here. I think people found it to be an interesting phone call.
Yeah, so what I would finish with is, as well as what I discussed earlier, I would also urge people who are getting into IT to make sure that whatever they're doing, whatever job roles they're looking for, isn't something that can be automated anytime soon, or something that could be offshored to India. I don't know if you want me to give you a couple of examples of job roles I've seen over the last 20 years
Well, I
that
would
have
be
been either
interested.
automated out of existence.
No. I would be interested in hearing about something that can't be outsourced. What what in the world IT position cannot be outsourced unless it's something physically requires you to lay hands on something? Well, how do you protect against that?
So, for example, architecture work consultancy. So that's actually interfacing with the end users and designing, implementing systems. So a lot of support roles have been offshored. It's a lot more difficult to offshore consultancy work because that requires people. And a lot of these jobs, well, especially in the UK, have been offshore to India. And it's hard to get an Indian to design a system because there's the language issues. There's a language and access issue. So say, for example, you're a CIO of a bank and you are upgrading your system. Say you want to move your systems into the cloud. You need someone with IT knowledge to come down and sit with you to find out what your business technical requirements are and then to design a solution. Now, if you have someone who comes in with a very strong Indian accent, doesn't understand, say, American or European business culture, jobs like that cannot be
right,
reasonably outsourced.
But a consultancy position, that's not going to be a position where there's going to be a lot of job growth. That's going to be a very niche, very specific, limited position like that. It's not going to be a whole bunch of jobs.
Actually, there's a lot more roles than you would think. The funny thing about IT, which is different from a lot of positions, is the most competitive roles are actually entry level. The higher up you go, the less competitive it is because it requires a lot of study, a lot of job specification, and most people, at a lower mid-level role position, you can make a decent amount of money. So what a lot of people do is they progress their knowledge to a certain level and think, you know what, I'm earning enough, I'm not going to study to get to the higher level. So actually in IT, the more you know, the higher the specification position, actually less competitive it is.
Less competitive, yes, but no more numerous the number of positions. That I'm not so sure.
But yes, but the lower level positions, a lot of them can be offshored. So for example, support positions, IT help desk positions, a lot of those positions have actually been offshored in the last 10, 15 years because you can get someone in India who can log onto your machine remotely and fix it for you for a fraction of the cost. And that's why these lower level positions are so competitive because you have a lot of people who study IT who come into the industry as well as people who already have those jobs. So unless those jobs are being created, there's no roles for people to come into IT to do them. And because a lot of those roles are still being offshore to India, I think in America they use the Philippines a lot as well for support and help desk. Those jobs aren't as numerous, and you probably have only slightly fewer jobs in the consultancy roles. Consultancy, project management. I think the caller yesterday was a project manager, worked in project management. That's a good position. Again, infrastructure, but infrastructure consultancy.
Right, but my thing about it though is that those are higher level positions. I don't see how you leapfrog. I don't see how you leapfrog those entry level ones. So what you're talking about, I believe that
no,
yes,
of
but
course.
you can't leapfrog the entry level ones. So you're going to have to actually deal with that before you can get to a point of reaching, project manager and consultancy and engineering and design and things like that. You're going to have to. You're still going to have to go through that regardless.
Definitely, and I would just like to set expectations. I just don't want people to think that they can, pick up a book and 6 months later you're doing a job that pays $50,000, $60,000. Your first couple of roles. What I would suggest people do is if they're serious about getting into IT, the minute they've decided what career path they want to choose, start applying straight away. Take any job in IT because your first 2-3 roles is about being established. At the beginning, you may have to fake it until you make it. I think that's the term you use. Make sure that you spend a lot of time on your resume because, a professionally done resume is something that will jump out to recruiters. So if you can't do a resume yourself, maybe hire a company or hire someone who can help you craft a resume. Make sure it's properly formatted, spell check is done properly. It's laid out properly because I get, as part of my job role, sometimes I have to filter resumes and interview people, and the quality of the resumes I receive, even just spelling mistakes, incorrect formatting. On the 2-page resume, you might have 3 or 4 different types of font styles. So I would say if you're going for entry-level position, choose your career path, start applying straight away. Don't wait till you get your first or second qualification before you start applying. Apply straight away. Take any role that goes. It's just about getting your foot through the door, on the first rung of the ladder.
Yeah, that's the thing I was saying before is that I'm most concerned about. I'm really concerned about getting folks started because I'm a firm believer, based on what I've seen and where I've worked and everything. If I can get them in, because the hardest part is getting in. It's not even getting them to a specific discipline. If we can just get them started, then they can meet somebody like you, for example, who can help them get themselves corrected. Like, okay, I've gotten started, but man, it's not giving me the dividends I'm looking for. If I can get them in there, they're going to be able to meet somebody like you who can help get them straightened out. Right now, the biggest problem we have is just getting them started. So if I can get them in, then I'm a firm believer everything else is going to work itself out if they really want to be there. So if they really want to be there, they'll meet somebody like you who will get there and tell them, okay, yeah, you got the heart and desire, but we need to tweak what you're doing over here so you can get the results that you're really looking for. So I agree with everything you're saying right there. Is that if we can get them started and get them to begin, then we can. They'll be rough around the edges, but we can help get that straightened out. I think this has been a hell of a productive phone call for this to straighten people out about that, brother. Please do give us a call again. I know it's way early in the morning over there right now. It's got to be about 3 or 4 in the morning right now where you are.
It, it's 2:45 in the morning, and I've got a conference call at 8 o'clock. But this is just too important for me. I've wanted to speak to you for a long time about this. Um, any help I can help my brothers. I'm from the UK. I'm African background, but I'm your brother and you're my brothers. I'm not into all this divides, and I would like to apologise for some of the off-code things said by some of my African brothers and sisters. I can assure you, most of us are not like that. Maybe another time I'll call up and give you a bit of a history as to why that may occur.
Brother, just
that would be straight off topic.
Well, go ahead and like I say, just go ahead and shoot me an email. If I'm not friends, did you say we're friends on Facebook?
Yeah, I follow you on Facebook. I sent you a Facebook Messenger today.
Lord, God help you on that one. I'll check and see, but I mean, you all know what my inbox looks like everywhere. I don't see anything that. Just send me another one and just say I'm Robert, okay? And I'll if you send me one before, just send me another one and say you're Robert, and it should pop up at the top of my list of people here. If it doesn't, though, just shoot. If you don't hear from me in a day or two, just shoot me an email. Say, hey, I'm Robert, and I'll take it from there.
Okay.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, brother. We appreciate hearing from you. We're working together here. Like I say, I try to do as much as I can. I'm just one person, but I try to do as much as I possibly can here. Okay. We're coming up short on time. I got a bunch of calls on the line. I'm going to try to get to as many of you as humanly possible here. Let me get caller from area code 708. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, my name is James from Chicago.
Okay, your name is what?
James from Chicago.
James from Chicago. What do you want to ask them?
My question is, whenever we get reparations, what is the first thing we should do to build our economic society?
Same thing as always.
Use it for?
Same thing as always. You cannot help us if you are not the smartest person in the room. You cannot be financially illiterate and expect to help yourself, much less anybody else. If your credit score is jacked up, if you waste your damn money on blunts and shoes, if you are repeating the failed financial practices of your mother and your father, then you ain't gonna be able to help anybody. So first and foremost, you have to get straightened out, because $2 million in the hands of a fool, it will do the same good as $0 in the hands of a fool. A fool takes $2 million and turns it into zero. A smart, educated, productive person takes $2 million and turns it into an empire. So first, I would be a fool to believe that James in Chicago is going to turn $2 million into $5 million if he can't turn $2,000 into $5,000. So demonstrate you can do that first. And then no matter what happens, reparations come through, put that in the bank, when you're ready to deal with it, and then you'll be able to use it. But if the only thing reparations is used for is paying the rent and a bunch of nigga toys, that's where it becomes something that could have helped your family and freed them permanently, and instead it's just become another lost opportunity. So the rules never change. The rules for post reparations check are exactly the same as the rules pre reparations check. The rules are the same right now. What's your savings? What's your credit score? Do you have a skill? Are you financially responsible and disciplined? Do you have a socioeconomic purpose in your life? Or are you just getting by from day to day? Do you have a long term plan? Or are you just making it from month to month? How you answer those questions is going to determine if reparations mean anything to you, or if it's going to be just a weird, wild, crazy summer where you blew a bunch of money and your kids and your grandkids are going to freaking hate you. Simple enough?
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get a caller from area code 919. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
How you doing, Jason? This is Jake from Charlotte.
Jake from Charlotte, what's on your mind?
I just wanted to thank you, you know what I'm saying, for your advice. I had messaged you messenger on a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago. You asked me to call in. I didn't call. I've just been focused, man. I've been listening for 3 years. Finally got my passenger vehicle hire license, and I'm just been out here grinding, man, ever since early mid-March, getting it. And I want to say thank you.
Passenger vehicle license. Was it like a chauffeur's license? You ever run a car service, a medical van, something like that?
Yes, sir.
Which one?
Yes, sir. It's a limo service.
Okay. For those of you who don't live in a major metropolitan area, you have to understand that word limousine can mean a number of different things. It can mean anything from a Lincoln Town car to a stretch limo, so it just depends. In New York City, they're real famous for car services. That's good. Do you have your own vehicle?
No, I use the company's vehicle.
Okay, that's fine. Are you learning the game?
Learning, I've been studying it for years. Yes, sir.
Okay, but I'm talking about where you're at right now, because remember, I taught you all the concept a decade ago. It's called overthrow your employer. All you have to do is learn everything, because you're running his business. He's not sitting in the car with you. You're out there making the money. You're running his business. All you have to do right there is just learn everything about it. The only thing separating you from, as Braun said on Game of Thrones, if you know how to use the sword, maybe you become the rich man. The rich man hires the poor man who knows how to use the sword. If you use the sword well enough, maybe you become the rich man.
Right.
And that's the way it works. So I would advise you learn everything you can, learn the ins and outs, learn the city charters, learn the rules, learn the insurance company that he's using. All you got to do is go get your own car, go to the insurance company, get the policy. Bam, you're up and going for yourself. Simple as that.
Yes, sir.
How old are you?
33.
33 years old. Get back in touch with me. Give yourself a year. Okay? Give yourself a year.
Okay.
Be serious about it. Understand what the requirements are. The city that you're in, they might require a specific type of vehicle, a specific age. You know, it can only be a certain age or whatever. Learn exactly what the rules and regulations are for it. Stack your money up so that you can get a loan if you need one, and then take it from there. I want to hear back from you. Understand?
Yes, sir.
I want to hear back from you. 33 years old. We need to hear from you. Be back in touch with me. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. I want to say thank you to all of you who have gotten up and done something with what I've given you here. I created the Black Channel as a resource of socioeconomic information for all the things I wish I could have called somebody about and they tell me back when I was your age. So I want to thank you if you got up and used it. Don't go blow it on money, hoes, and clothes, but on cars, hoes, and clothes, unless the car is making money and everything else with that matter. But don't waste it. So I want to thank you if you haven't done that. That's very important to me. Let me get caller from area code 818. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, Jason.
Yes. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, my name is Michael. I live in Los Angeles, California.
Michael in Los Angeles. What's on your mind?
Hey, I called you about I said a few months ago we were talking about how the elders from the civil rights generation were defeated. But I just wanted to talk about how two things really on the question. One, personally, I told you before that I box, and I was looking not only to just be an athlete, but to also do a promotion within the boxing entertainment business. So I wanted to know, like, what was your opinion about that? Because being in the public eye and being B1 does have conflict of interest. So I just wanted to see what you wanted to say on
I don't
that.
see why it would be a conflict of interest. Don't have a conflict of interest. I mean, don't tell anybody about that. Your vocation with us is your business. Don't ever go around advertising that. Don't ever go around publicizing that. It is enough that you know. And we will know you by your works. The Bible is correct. By your works, we will know you. So don't tell us. That's another part we got with this Black First thing. I'm so glad you all took it to heart and everything, but understand the heart of Black First, brothers and sisters from around the world, don't talk about it, be about it. Don't talk about it, be about it. Don't say nothing. You ain't got to tell me nothing. Show me. Don't talk about it, just get up and do it. Now, the fight game is a different matter. You know, I know there's the bare knuckle. Everybody talks about MMA basically in professional boxing. I don't know how viable that is. I thought the bare knuckle thing was something very interesting because it provided a real viable alternative to UFC in that it was more novel and more niche. You didn't have to have superstars because it was different than the UFC. So basically, people were just tuning in to see, is this really going to go down like this? And it did. So it's going to take creativity if that's what you want to get into. But I suspect it's also going to take a good bit of coin, even if you're just doing, some local things like that. It's probably going to take a good bit of coin. So I couldn't begin to tell you if I were going to try to go into something like that. I'm probably going to have about $100,000. To be totally honest with you, I probably want to have that. I don't know how viable that is for you, but maybe you can make something else happen because to have something legitimately done, you're going to have a facility. You're going to have state athletic commission's permission. You're going to have medical personnel. There's a number of different things you're going to need. Right now, you ain't going to be able to get that going right now anyway. The UFC can't get their events going right now, and they're the biggest, the best, and the baddest to the breed. If they can't get their events going right now, I don't see how you're going to be able to do it. So you might want to put that on the back burner in the meantime. Right now, that's really up in the air. We got to take a look at things that really don't require us to publicly gather like that right now. So I couldn't really encourage you to do that with me, especially if you're in California. With me knowing everything that's going on right now, I mean, he could do it. It's just gonna. I mean, the other problem is they're limited the number of people you can have. Even if you don't allow an audience, if one fighter has 5 people with him, another fighter has 5 people with him, guess what? Y'all are all over the damn social distancing limits. So even if you want to do it online and stream it online, right now it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. I don't like to. Yeah. I want to think my way through it, but right now, with the regulations being what they are, I just can't. I can't recommend that to you right now. Check back on it next year. Let's see how it goes. Follow the UFC. They got the money to break down barriers. It might be better to just fall back for a minute and just let them kick in some doors and see what they can get done, and then just follow them through and see how it does. I'm predicting it's probably going to be next year at the soonest before we can even have this conversation with the environment being what it is right now.
Yeah.
What was your other question?
Got it. Yeah. Well, just to finish up that topic, I was just, my original plan was to just, be an athlete myself, and then if the opportunity for a promotion company, falls through, along with me pushing for it, then I'd go for it. But my second thing was, well, I mentioned to you that I grew up in a foster home and group home system and stuff. And while I was in that system, I did manage to save a bit of money. And now that we're in this crisis, and we're talking, the news is talking possible food shortages for meats and possibly other foods. Um, what I did do while I was in that foster system is
Okay. Well, we're kind of
linked up
short,
with a
brother. We're kind of short on time, so I'm going to need everybody to wrap things up quickly as they can here. So give us the Reader's Digest version of whatever
okay,
you're going to say in 15 seconds or less.
got it. Basically, while I was in the system, I went with a seminar that taught tax liens, which is basically when investors, third parties, pay the delinquent taxes of properties and become lien owners. So one thing I was thinking about is like in the rural parts of California, if a lot of my people out here, if they're listening, they could invest possibly in these type things. I have the information. I paid over 2,500 for the seminar. I could show you all the links in the booklet that I have. It's called the United Association. You can look them up on Google.
Well,
They're
here's
legit.
the
They
thing.
run seminars.
Well, here's the thing, brother. I don't have a problem with people investing if they want to get involved in tax liens if they're able to find those viable properties. The problem that most people have is though they can get the
Well,
properties, but
not
they're
not
not.
the property, but the rural land for vegetation because of the food shortages.
Okay.
You can get that rural land and
Well,
become an owner.
I think that's a great idea, but you still would need to develop it. You can't just get the land. You're also now going to have to develop it with modern farming practices and whatnot. So it's not going to be just enough to get land. You're also going to have to be able to develop it. So make sure you got enough money to take care of what you need to do at the fact because it will cost you many times more to develop farmland than it does to actually acquire it. But thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Please do give us a call again. Let me get caller from area code 441. You're on live with Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening. This is Johnny. So what I want to ask you about is that I'm actually just graduating with my associates in art, but I'm thinking about going back in to get my computer science degree. And thankful for the court that was before that gave me a bad idea to go at it. So I'm thankful for that. But my next question was is that I actually inside of doing my art studies actually started doing art options inside. And I got approached by an art dealer that was mentioning doing a 40/60 deal. Could you better like educate me so I know how to handle that next time I get that opportunity again? Because I kind of pushed him away and thought as if he was trying to push short me on my artwork.
Okay, he was trying to offer you a 40/60 deal. Who's getting the 40 and who's getting the 60?
He didn't say anything on that.
Yikes.
He didn't disclose it.
Okay.
It's just like I
Okay, brother, here's the thing. What you're talking about now is a contract. Contracts are very easy to deal with. I want to teach you all right now how to deal with a contract, okay? A contract is a great contract if you wrote it.
okay.
All right. If you're the person who sets the terms, then that's the contract you go with. You don't let other people bring you the terms, and you don't ever agree to something that's not documented. So
Okay.
the first thing is, okay, he's talking to you and whatnot. Maybe we should have got to a point where he's got to write it down and we document this and let's see exactly what you mean, and then we can determine if it's worth it. The first thing you should do whenever you even think about splitting money with somebody else, the first thing that you should ask yourself is this something that I am already doing? Understand?
Yes.
I didn't say, is this something I can outsource? I said, is this something I am already doing? Don't have somebody sit up here and get you a contract so they can cut themselves in for a cut of something you're already doing. If you're already doing your own auctioning, if you're already doing your own selling, if you're already doing your own shipping, why am I cutting this guy in? Well, I can do this, that, and the other for you. Well, maybe you can, but if those are things I'm already doing, you're redundant. Well, I can take some of the grunt work off. I think I keep some of the grunt work on. Now, bringing in partners and stuff helps if it multiplies your income. Now, if it's increasing your income, sure, go ahead and do that. I'm also a firm believer that any contract agreement must be something that you can terminate on demand. Try to stay away from something that has you tied up for long lengths of time. And don't ever, 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 under any circumstances, sacrifice intellectual ownership. If you have a brand, you keep that. You have a company, you keep that. If you're going to split money, splitting the money doesn't give them any ownership. You should split money for services. You should not split money because you gave away ownership. So if you're going to bring them in, they can help boost your income, but don't let them come in and then they start fighting themselves in with powers and abilities, giving themselves a cut. Now they get to make rules and call shots. Like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. The only thing you want to bring in other people for is if they can multiply your income. Great. You can get 40%. If he's able to triple your income, well, hell, he's earned that 40%. If he can triple your income, yeah, he's earned it. That's not a problem. Sure. Hell, we're making 3 times what we were making. Me doing the same damn thing. He's earned that 40%. Sure. He don't own nothing, but he's earned it.
So, okay, cool. So currently I'm able to sell my paintings, like the most expensive paint I'm able to sell is a $200 painting. But I was listening to your last one saying about labeling and having a brand to get reoccurring customers. So would I take a cut, like would it affect my I guess authenticity if I brand more so green printing? Because right now I'm just doing canvas and paint. Just
Okay, well, here's my thing.
yeah,
If what you're doing is popular, why wouldn't you make lithographs or whatever so you can print them off and sell them? Why wouldn't you do that? Now, if you just want to be like Andy Warhol and you want to only have one one copy of your work available, that's how you control it. I mean, that's up to you. They call it being a starving artist, but that's up to you. If that's the route you want to go and you don't want to have a bunch of copies of your work. But if it's really good stuff, why would you not do that? So it's really up to you as far as what you want to do. I can't necessarily tell you, well, this is the best way for you to go. I mean, if you're an artist and if you're just not comfortable with making a bunch of copies of your work, but if there are copies of your work, if you can make more money like that and if that's the direction you prefer to go in, why wouldn't you do it? So it's up to you. What do you want to do? What are you trying to accomplish?
well, what I was just trying to accomplish is I actually wanted to just get the legacy. Honestly, on my island, I want to be known for like $1 billion painting. Just feeling that.
Okay.
Like that's where my mind's at.
Right, but what I'm saying though is that how are you going to be $1 billion painter? Because painters don't usually make $1 billion. So what exactly is it you are going to do to become worth $1 billion? From asking.
Well, my plan is to get to that point is I can just go back in for a computer science degree, develop maybe a system within security networking. My eye is leaning towards going to digital currency, hopefully get my hands inside of a government subsidized with actually paying me for the service that I'm providing. And besides, I was trying to run, part by politics to actually promote my artwork. And then on the side,
we got a lot. We have a lot going on here. Let me give you, as a fellow artist, let me give you something very simple to understand, okay? If you are going to make any money and your foundation is going to be your art. By the way, how old are you?
23.
Okay, you're 23 years old. You're going to start a foundation, and your foundation is going to be your art. There are only two ways to make money. Number one, people pay a bunch of money because it's you, and you are an in-demand artist, in which case they're only going to want one of those pieces of art made, but you can charge a lot of money for it. That's unlikely if you're charging
Yeah.
$300 right now. It's going to take a very long time for you to build up, enough value and prestige in people's eyes to be able to do that. Number two, you're a good artist, but you're commercial, which means that you're about making you offer it to as many people as you can and bring the price of each individual piece down. But you sell a lot of stuff because you're a popular artist. Those are really the only two ways you can do it, brother. That's it. I'm not here to choose
Okay.
which. I'm not here to choose which one of those for you. I'm just going to tell you the first one's going to take a lot more time than the second one. But those are the only two ways it's going to happen. You have to choose which one you want to do. I can't make that choice for you. I won't make that choice for you. You decide. But if we're talking practically speaking, being practical, it's going to be one of those two. It's not going to be whatever you're thinking. All that other stuff you just mentioned to me,